Before the new year, take a break. Now, not later. Look around you and notice one thing that most people never notice. There are objects you call thing, but in the invisible they have become anchors, and anchors don't let the boat move forward, even when the wind changes. You can change the year number, you can change your clothes, you can post Happy New Year with a smile. But if you cross the threshold carrying certain symbols, you enter the next cycle with the same weight, only with an extra tired hope. And tired hope is dangerous because it says, I tried everything. When, in truth, you still haven't closed the small doors through which stagnation enters every day. If you've made it this far, it's no coincidence. I don't say this as a pretty phrase. I say it as a warning, because Archangel Miguel doesn't appear when everything is comfortable. Miguel appears when there is a decision at the door, and the door, today, has a name: cycle turning. Perhaps you are tired of starting and restarting. Perhaps you are tired of feeling that life goes around and you stay put. Perhaps you are tired of seeing less effortful people prosper and thinking, what's wrong with me? And this is where Miguel enters with a truth that does not humiliate. It saves. Sometimes there is nothing wrong with you. There is just something wrong remaining around you. The new year does not begin at midnight on the clock. It begins in the invisible. It begins with what you decide to take with you. It begins with what you refuse to let go of. It begins with what you leave hidden in a drawer, as if hidden it ceased to exist. And that's why, even changing the calendar, you feel that some things repeat themselves. The tightness, the lack, the frustration, the feeling of running and not getting anywhere. Today, Miguel reveals 3 specific objects. 3, not a category, not an abstract concept. 3 visible targets. And each of them touches a different point of your next cycle: money, identity, and destiny. And I need to warn you beforehand, because this is how attention-grabbing messages work. The second one is worse, because it messes with who you believe you are. And the third one seems normal. It seems like a simple thing. And that is precisely why it traps. There is an invisible threat hovering around your prosperity, and I won't explain that yet. Not now. Because if I explain too early, your mind starts to negotiate. Your mind starts to say, oh, it's just an object. And the soul, in silence, will continue to feel the weight. So do what few do. Stay with me until the end, because the last object is the most ignored and the most expensive. And in the end, I will give you a practical seal. 3 simple actions and a short prayer to seal the turning, without exaggeration, without superstition, and without panic. Here is a verifiable sign, so you don't treat this as theory. If you do this with truth, within 7 days you tend to notice a type of change that cannot be faked. The environment becomes lighter, your prayer flows again, and a block begins to give way in a way you cannot explain. It's not magic, it's space. If this has touched you, make a simple gesture now. Write in the comments, "Eu não vou levar peso." It's not for the algorithm, it's for your spirit to register a decision. Now breathe, and listen as one who listens to a warning before the fall. Because Miguel does not come with poetry. He comes with a cut, with discernment, with precision. Act 2. Miguel does not negotiate with stagnation, authority plus war, plus preparation. Archangel Miguel is called the Prince of the Celestial Militia for a reason. He is the one who separates, the one who cuts, the one who protects when life turns into an inner battle. Miguel does not argue with darkness. He does not converse with what drains you. He expels. There is an ancient question that is in Miguel's very mission: Quem como Deus? It is a cry of authority against everything that tries to place itself in the place of the divine within you, including fear, including shame, including the idea that there's no way. When Miguel arrives, he not only protects, he re-establishes order. He reminds your soul that you were not born to live tied in repetition. And note, Miguel does not protect you, so you can continue carrying the same weight with a feeling of security. Miguel protects you, so you can cross. Protection without crossing becomes a comfortable prison. And that is why, when he reveals something, it is always with urgency. Because delay is the favorite language of what wants to block you. There is a detail that many people ignore. Prosperity is not just having. Prosperity is flow. It is a clean path. It is circulating energy. And what blocks the flow, almost always, is not a big cinematographic curse. It is a silent coexistence with small cracks, in the environment and in the soul. Miguel is the guardian of the threshold, and the turning of the year is a threshold. At the threshold, what was hidden reveals itself. What was tolerated exacts a price. What was postponed gains strength. Perhaps you have already felt this without knowing how to name it. That day when you enter your own house and feel a weight. Nothing happened. No one said anything. But the air seems dense. You try to pray and your mind disperses. You try to work and everything blocks. You try to cheer up and joy doesn't stay. And then you think, it must be me. But sometimes it's not just you. It's the whole. It's the atmosphere. It's what you keep as a symbol. Now imagine a simple scene, a woman sitting on the edge of the bed, dawn, cell phone illuminating her face. She is not at a party. She is not celebrating. She is just thinking, why does everything move and mine doesn't? She looks at the corner of the room and sees something old, something stored, and without realizing it, her body tightens her chest. This is a sign, not of weakness, of truth. Miguel sees what your eyes do not see, and when you invoke his presence, you call someone who has authority over the invisible. Someone who perceives where your house has become a memorial of loss, where your routine has become an altar of stagnation, where your faith has become a tired attempt because the environment does not cooperate. And there is a spiritual rule that Miguel teaches in practice. Where there is a cut, there is a passage. Where there is no cut, there is repetition. Therefore, what I am going to tell you now is not to scare you. It is to free you. Certain things stay in your house as if they were neutral, but they function as invitations. An invitation for memory to return. An invitation for shame to reappear. An invitation for postponement to become a habit. Miguel does not call you to fear. Miguel calls you to authority. Because prosperity is also authority. It is you deciding what enters, what stays, and what leaves. But I need to say this clearly. Miguel is not here to make you throw everything away in despair. He is here to teach you discernment, to separate, to choose, and to choose with urgency. Because the turning of the year is a threshold, and thresholds are dangerous for those who carry old weight. In the invisible, cycles close and open, and what you keep as a small thing can be the loophole that keeps the door of prosperity half closed. Now let's enter the revelation in layers, one by one, without haste, but without stalling. And I repeat, the second one is worse, and the third one seems normal, but it costs a lot. Act 3, the first object, the wallet of scarcity, money. The first object is closer to you than you imagine, so common that you don't even think of it as something spiritual. It is linked to work, to daily life, to survival, and precisely for that reason, almost no one suspects it. The first object that should not go into the new year is the old wallet. Yes, the wallet. And I know that a part of your mind wants to laugh, minimize, say, that's nonsense. But listen to the end, because here is the phrase that works like a blade. An old wallet is the pocket of scarcity, and whoever carries scarcity in their pocket usually carries scarcity at the door. The wallet is not just leather, fabric, or a zipper. It is a deposit. It holds money, yes, but it also holds invisible memories. Worries, delays, bills, silent humiliations, debts, unfulfilled promises, failed attempts. Every time you open an old wallet, you reactivate a pattern, and patterns are obeyed by the invisible. Have you noticed how there are people who work hard, strive, have faith, but always seem to be at their limit? It's not just economics. Sometimes it's a symbol, because prosperity likes order, and the wallet is a daily altar of that order. Now, a micro scene. A man picks up his wallet before leaving. It is heavy with papers, expired cards, receipts for purchases that no longer matter, a crumpled paper with an old charge, a small photo from a difficult time. He doesn't realize it, but his body already leaves in survival mode, not in abundance mode. And the body, when it enters this mode, sees opportunities as threats. He negotiates less. He accepts less. He clings to the little he has. And the little becomes prophecy. Another micro scene. You open your wallet and find a receipt for a debt already paid. But that paper there, is like a ghost. It whispers, "You were once in debt." And your heart responds with fear. And fear closes the hand, closes the vision, closes the path. Miguel reveals. The old wallet is a daily message you send to the world and to yourself. It's like saying, "I still live in tightness." And life responds, "Then I continue to teach you tightness." Do you want prosperity? Then start where your hand touches every day. Now, here is the practical cut. Before midnight, yes, before the turning, do this. Take your wallet and empty it completely. Remove expired cards, papers of paid debt, old receipts, notes that remind you of fear. If the wallet is torn, frayed, ugly, with a failing zipper, do not take it into the new year. Do not negotiate. Do not promise, "I'll buy another one later." Later is where prosperity starves. If you cannot buy a new one now, do what Miguel calls a sign of wholeness. Use something simple, clean, whole. So even if cheap, heaven does not measure price. It measures intention, it measures order. And there's a detail that changes everything. Leave your wallet with space. Do not leave it crammed. Prosperity does not like tightness. It likes a path. And there's a detail that changes the game. A wallet is not a place for emotional trash. Do not keep loose coins mixed with billing papers there. Do not keep numbers of people who exploited you there. Do not keep notes that put you down there. The wallet is small, but it travels with you. It enters rooms, interviews, meetings, opportunities. It goes with you when you shake hands. It is an extension of your yes and your no. A quick micro scene, you go to pay for something, and the cashier looks at your torn wallet. It's a detail, but details program perception. And perception opens or closes doors. When you decide to align what is small, you begin to align what is big. Take a note, even a small one, and leave it there as a symbol of flow. It's not magic belief. It's mind and atmosphere training. There is room for more. Now do something that almost no one does, but it works as a sealing. Wipe the wallet with a clean cloth. Simple. And as you wipe, say, "Archangel Michael, I clean the altar of my day. I close the door of scarcity. I declare order. I choose the new." And do not keep in your wallet anything that humiliates you. No paper that demeans you. No note that returns you to fear. Because a wallet is an object you open dozens of times. And each opening is a reactivation. But don't get distracted, because now comes the second one, and it's worse. It doesn't just mess with money. It messes with who you think you are. Act 4. The second object, the clothes from the day you fell, identity. Breathe deeply, because this point makes many people close the video. Not because they don't believe, but because they recognize. The second object that should not go into the new year is a specific piece of clothing, not just any clothing. That one. The one you wore when everything started to go wrong. The one that saw you inside when no one else did. It can be a dress, a shirt, a coat, a pair of shoes, a bag, an old uniform. It's not about fashion. It's about living memory. Miguel reveals a harsh truth. Fabric absorbs more than sweat. It absorbs state. It absorbs environment. It absorbs the spiritual climate of that period. And here is the blade phrase. Clothes don't just hold your body, they hold your history. Now, a micro scene. You open your wardrobe and touch a piece. You say, "It's just a piece." But your stomach turns because that piece was on you when you received news, when you were humiliated, when you signed a paper you didn't want to sign, when you cried in the bathroom and wiped your face in silence. Another micro scene. You keep clothes for when I lose weight, for when I become who I once was. And without realizing it, these clothes become an altar of demands and guilt. You pass by them and feel that you are still not enough. This is not prosperity. This is disguised imprisonment. And there's more. There are clothes that remind you of a relationship that drained your energy. The clothes from the day you were abandoned. The clothes from the day you lost yourself. You keep them because they cost a lot, or because they can still be used. But the greater cost was not the price. It was what remained inside. This is what few people understand. Prosperity does not enter where identity still dwells in the fall. You can pray for abundance, But if you continue wearing, keeping, and protecting the symbol of your period of defeat, it's like saying, I still belong to that version. Miguel does not ask you to throw it away out of whim. Miguel asks you to discern. If there is a piece that, when you touch it, you feel weight, shame, painful longing, anger, a sense of failure, that piece has become an anchor, and anchors do not cross the turning. And here comes a question that Miguel often uses as a mirror. Why do you keep this? Because it might be useful one day is a practical answer, but sometimes it hides a truth. You keep it because you are still afraid of losing, still afraid of not having again, still afraid of not being again. But the new year does not ask for fear, it asks for position. Do a simple test. Take this piece and bring it close to your face for a second. Smell it. Feel what comes into your body. If tightness, guilt, sadness, shame come. That's not clothes, it's a trigger. And a trigger, at a cycle turning, becomes a blockage. Before midnight, do this. Separate this piece. Put it outside the closet. Do not mix it with the others. Look at it honestly, not with drama, with truth. Ask, does this remind me of strength, or does it remind me of a fall? If it reminds you of a fall, you have 3 choices, and choice is also prosperity. Donate if it's in good condition and doesn't carry something that could harm someone. Donate with prayer. Transform if it's something neutral. Cut it, reuse it, but without keeping the symbol intact. Discard if it's loaded, if it's torn, if it's tied to pain. And if you are going to donate, do it the right way. Fold it with respect. Thank it for what you learned and release it. Prosperity loves gratitude with action. Then say in a low voice, Archangel Miguel, cut the connection between my identity and my fall. I no longer live there, I wear the new. Most people think prosperity is just money. It's not. Prosperity is internal permission. It is identity aligned with the new. And now comes the third. The third is the most ignored, the most normal, and precisely for that reason, it is the most dangerous. Act 5, the third object. What is broken and you intend to fix it, destiny. The third object has no glamour. It doesn't attract attention. It usually stays in the corner, in the drawer, in the service area, in the kitchen, at the entrance, and you have lived with it for so long that you stopped noticing it. The third object that should not go into the new year is any broken or damaged object that you keep saying, I'll fix it later. It can be a stopped clock, a cracked mirror, a wobbly chair, a charger with an exposed wire, a cracked glass, an appliance that only works when it wants to, a dripping faucet, a door that doesn't close properly, a failing switch, a mended cable. And here is the hammer phrase, where the broken remains. Prosperity waits outside, because the problem is not the object, it's the message. The broken proclaiming tolerance for the unfinished, coexistence with defect, acceptance of so-so. And so-so is a slow poison for destiny. Now, a quick micro scene. A house. The table wobbles. Everyone already knows which leg is crooked. The person pushes a folded paper to steady it and says, I'll see to that later. But later turns into months. Later turns into years. And without realizing it, that same logic begins to operate in other areas. Later I'll take the course. Later I'll organize the accounts. Later I'll change. Later I'll start. The enemy does not need to destroy those who postpone themselves. And there's another micro scene. The faucet drips every night. You hear it? You get used to it. And what was an annoyance becomes normal. Prosperity is the opposite of that. Prosperity is you not getting used to what drains you. And that's why this third object seems normal, because it disguises itself as practicality. It can still be used. It's not that serious. It's not worth fixing. But every time you look at something broken and accept it, you train your soul to accept less. And prosperity does not flourish in ground that has learned to be content with cracks. Miguel reveals, broken objects are silent pacts with stagnation, not out of cheap superstition, but out of spiritual psychology. You see them every day and the brain learns, the unfinished can stay. The soul learns, the blocked is normal, and life replicates. So, before midnight, do this. Walk through the house with a sentinel's eyes. As if Miguel walked with you. Identify 3 broken things. 3, not 20. 3. Make an immediate choice. Fix today, replace today, or discard today. Today, now, before the turning. If it's a stopped clock, either you change the battery and make it run again, or it does not cross the threshold. Because a stopped clock is a prophecy of blocked time. If it's a cracked mirror, it does not cross. A cracked mirror is a broken image. And a broken image, in a new cycle, turns into identity confusion. Miguel is not asking you for perfection. Miguel is asking you for wholeness. If you want to understand the gravity of this, observe the broken creates noise in the day. Noise is not just sound. It is drained attention. It is accumulated irritation. It is the feeling of always resolving patches, and constant patching steals energy that should go to construction. Prosperity does not like patching as a lifestyle. It likes structure. It likes things that work. It likes doors that close, clocks that run, tables that are firm. Because the visible educates the invisible. And now that the three objects have been revealed, the part that points to you begins. Because what you keep on the outside always says what you tolerate on the inside. Act 6. Identification, confrontation, and practical seal, surrender. Now silence within. Because I'm going to ask you simple but devastating questions. Have you noticed how some years start the same as previous ones, even when you promised it would be different? Have you felt that you work more, pray more, try harder, and yet something blocks? Have you felt that prosperity passes close by, but does not enter? Then I need to tell you a truth that hurts, but frees. Sometimes the problem is not a lack of blessing. It is a lack of space. Prosperity likes space. External space and internal space. And space only appears when you close doors that were left open. Old wallet, clothes of the fall, broken object. It seems simple. It seems like a small thing. But together they form a triple blockage. Scarcity in the pocket, wounded identity in the chest, blocked destiny in the environment. And here is the confrontation. If you know this and still decide to carry it, then it is no longer a lack of information. It is a choice. And choice has consequences. That's why I return to the hammer. Before midnight, before the turning, today. Because heaven respects your yes, and heaven respects your postponement too. Now, let's seal this with something practical. 3 actions, 1 declaration, and 1 prayer. Without stalling, without theater, with truth. Action 1, the table of decision. Take a table, a chair, a corner, make it a cutting point. Place on it the wallet, the piece of clothing, and the broken object, or its list if it doesn't fit. This gesture alone already changes the atmosphere because you make visible what was hidden. Action 2, the ritual of exchange. For each object, make a simple symbolic exchange. Old wallet. Leave a clean paper with 1 word written, order. Clothes of the fall, fold and place separately as a closed chapter. If donating, tie with a simple bow. Broken object. If fixing, separate the tool or battery now. If discarding, put it in the bag now. Action 3, the gesture of the new. Choose a small new symbol to put in its place. It doesn't have to be expensive. It needs to be whole. It can be a simple wallet, a clear scarf, an organized object at the entrance, a candle safely, a whole glass, a new agenda kept with respect. The new needs a place to sit. Now the declaration. Out loud, without shame. Archangel Michael, I close the cycle of tightness. I close the cycle of the fall. I close the cycle of postponement. I choose the new. And then, the short prayer. Because short prayers cross the sky like an arrow. Archangel Michael, Prince of Light, cut now every connection between me and scarcity. Cut every memory that clothes me in defeat. Cut every pact with the broken and with postponement. May my house become a ground of order. May my mind become a ground of clarity. May my heart become a ground of courage. And may the prosperity that comes from God find open doors not out of desperation, but out of preparation. I choose the new. Amen. Now pay attention. When you do this, don't expect fireworks. Sometimes change is silent, but it is real. Now I want you to visualize 2 paths. In the first, you enter the new year with haste and distraction. You leave the old wallet because it's too much trouble. You leave the clothes of the fall because they cost a lot. You leave the broken item because it can still be used. And then you cross midnight like someone crossing a bridge carrying sacks. On the other side, the year changes, but the feeling is the same. You already start January tired, you already start January blocked, and you don't even understand why. In the second path, you cross with decision. You look at these three objects and say, enough. You cut without drama but with firmness. You don't say goodbye to the past with hatred. You say goodbye with maturity. And what happens? You wake up on the first day with a lighter house, a clearer mind, and a more willing heart. It's not euphoria, it's relief. And relief is the first sign that the door has begun to open. And if you want to make this even stronger, make one last key. After separating the objects, wash your hands. Simple. Water. As a symbol that you are no longer carrying that cycle in your body, and say, Miguel, seal my decision. If you know someone who is entering the year with weight, send this message. Sometimes prosperity doesn't just begin when you receive. It begins when you become a bridge for someone else too. Within 7 days, observe. The air changes, the disposition changes, discipline appears, a conversation opens, an opportunity arises, an idea comes, a contact happens. A block gives way. And after that, maintain a simple rule for the first 30 days of the year. Do not bring back what you have just expelled. Not out of fear, out of respect for the process. Prosperity does not like back and forth. It likes decision. If this video spoke to you, it's because your soul has already recognized one of these three objects. Do not ignore this recognition. Write in the comments as a seal, Eu escolho o novo. And now, go, before midnight. Because whoever crosses lightly crosses further.